Welcome to your class on finding relationship compatibility with Synastry, where today we are going to learn how to assess the bond between us and another person using astrology. This is a Libra season inspired class because we are in the season of love and partnership and commitment, all the Venus things of life. So I thought it was a perfect time to learn a little bit more about Synastry, which is a branch or a practice of astrology that specifically deals with relationships. What is synastry? Also known as relationship astrology, but synastry is basically the art of comparing two birth charts to see how they affect each other and how the energy flows between each other. So you guys can see kind of my representation. It's like your chart plus their chart equals your synastry. And this practice helps us understand how that other person's unique cosmic makeup, their galactic energies, like their soul essence, how all of that stuff aligns and affects with ours. And I was telling Kat earlier, but synastry can be used to assess relationship between you and anyone, not just romantic, but it can also be a personal relationship or a professional relationship. It's really just useful to figure out how you interact with someone and how they affect you. Now with that, diving a little bit deeper into the tenets of synastry, what synastry posits is that at the exact moment of your partner's birth, at the exact moment that your boyfriend was born or your mom or your sibling, at that moment, the planets in the sky were affecting your specific chart in a very specific way. So when they were born, the energies of that time were affecting your chart in unique ways. Now, this applies even if you were the one born first, which is kind of like a mind boggle to think about. But even if you were born first, your partner or sibling or parents' cosmic energies would affect your chart in a specific way because of the planets and placements that they have. So just understand that synastry is the understanding that at the moment of your partner's birth, the planets in the sky were affecting your chart in a specific way. Of course, if you guys have taken any of our classes on forecasting, then you'll know that this sounds very similar to transits, right? Because transits are a method where we compare our birth chart to the current planets in the sky to see how they are affecting us in that moment. So it's very similar to transits. It's basically the same concept with synastry, but instead of comparing our chart to the current sky, we compare it to someone else's and see how that affects us. So in order to compare charts, we're going to be overlaying one on top of the other in order to create a synastry chart. Now, I also would love to hear if you guys have ever seen a synastry chart or tried to interpret it for yourself. But what we're doing today is taking your birth chart and their birth chart, and we're mashing them together, basically, to create one birth chart, one synastry chart that represents your relationship combined. Now, I'll get into the details in a second, but your chart is reflected on the inner wheel of the synastry chart, and it is reflected in the blue planets here, whereas their chart is reflected in the outer wheel with the orange planets. I'll get a little bit more into this in a second, but just understand.